Olivia Brooks walked into a big, busy store feeling very happy. She was looking for a special present for her sister's graduation, and she hoped to find something just right. The store was cool and nice inside, and it felt good after being outside in the hot summer sun. Olivia smiled as she thought about her sister's big day. She was excited to find the perfect gift for her. As she walked through the store, she saw lots of signs hanging from the ceiling. One sign said, "Electronics," and Olivia decided to go in that direction. She was excited to look at all the cool gadgets. The store was full of people. Families were pushing carts filled with clothes and toys. Couples were holding hands and looking at kitchen appliances. Olivia loved seeing all the people, but she was focused on finding a special gift. In the back of the store, Olivia found a section full of tablets and other electronic devices. There were so many to choose from. Big ones, small ones, some with keyboards, and some with special pens called styluses. Olivia picked up a slim, shiny silver tablet. She turned it over in her hands and thought this might be just the right gift for her sister. She imagined how happy her sister would be when she opened it. Olivia was so busy thinking about how her sister would use the tablet for school and video chats that she didn't notice the other shoppers glancing at her. She was completely lost in her thoughts and excited about picking the best tablet. She moved from one display to another, comparing different models and prices. She even wondered if her sister would like a blue tablet or a rose gold one. While Olivia was looking at the tablets, a man named Lucas, who worked at the store, was watching her. Lucas had worked at the store for many years, and he had seen all kinds of customers. When he saw Olivia, he didn't think she was just shopping. He saw her looking at the expensive tablets and thought she might be trying to steal something. Lucas's eyes narrowed, and he started to feel suspicious. Lucas thought that because Olivia was casually dressed and looking at such expensive items, she must be up to no good. He began to follow her around the store, pretending to fix things, but actually keeping a close eye on her. Olivia was busy comparing tablets and didn't notice Lucas following her. She was excited and wanted to make sure she picked the best one for her sister. Lucas's suspicion grew as he watched Olivia. He saw her pick up a very fancy tablet and read the small card next to it. Lucas thought to himself that someone like Olivia, who looked casual and wasn't dressed up, shouldn't be interested in such expensive things. His mind was filled with wrong ideas about her, and he began to think she might be planning to steal something. Instead of seeing Olivia's genuine interest and excitement, Lucas only saw what he expected to see. He was quick to judge her because of his own biases and past experiences with other customers. Lucas's suspicion made him believe that Olivia couldn't possibly afford the things she was looking at. He was too focused on his own thoughts to notice that Olivia was just trying to find the perfect gift for her sister. As Olivia continued to look at the tablets, Lucas stayed close behind her, watching her every move. He moved from aisle to aisle, always a few steps behind her, trying to keep an eye on her without being noticed. Olivia was so caught up in her excitement about finding the right tablet that she didn't realize Lucas was following her. Lucas's suspicion and quick judgment made him forget that Olivia was simply a customer shopping for a special gift. Instead of seeing her as a person with feelings and a purpose, he saw her as a potential thief because of his own prejudices. His negative assumptions clouded his judgment and made him forget the true reason Olivia was in the store. As Olivia explored the store, admiring various high-end gadgets, Lucas's mind began to wander into darker territories. He watched her closely, thinking, "I've seen people like her before. They come in pretending to be interested customers, but they're really just looking for a chance to steal." His suspicion was clear. He believed Olivia wasn't a genuine shopper. He scrutinized her every move, convinced she was up to something shady. When Olivia pulled out her phone to compare prices, Lucas's suspicion only grew. She's probably texting an accomplice, he thought, his heart racing with paranoia. He moved closer, pretending to straighten a nearby display, but his real focus was on Olivia. From this vantage point, he could see her face more clearly. Despite her genuine look of concentration, Lucas twisted her innocent actions into something sinister. He grumbled to himself, "Look at her acting all innocent. I know better. She's planning something." As Olivia reached for an even more expensive tablet, Lucas's suspicion solidified. He couldn't believe she might actually be a successful businesswoman simply looking for a thoughtful gift. Instead, his biases led him to a single conclusion. Olivia must be up to no good. He watched her like a hawk, waiting for any sign of wrongdoing. His suspicion intensified when she moved to the accessories section. She picked up a sleek, high-end case, examining it with care. To Lucas, this was proof she was planning to steal the entire set. "No way she can afford all this," he muttered under his breath. Olivia's fingers then brushed against a pair of wireless headphones. She admired them, imagining how pleased her sister would be to receive such a thoughtful gift. But to Lucas, her smile seemed devious and calculating. His mind raced with ungrounded fears. She's either planning to walk out with those items or trick the cashier at the register. His face flushed with anger as he imagined Olivia's plan to steal. His hands trembled as he grabbed random items from the shelves, pretending to arrange them while keeping his eyes locked on her. "I'll catch her in the act," he vowed to himself. Olivia, absorbed in her shopping, initially didn't notice Lucas's hovering presence. But as she moved down the aisle, she felt a strange prickle of unease. She glanced over her shoulder and saw Lucas following her. She quickly dismissed the thought, assuming he was just doing his job. With a small shrug, she returned to her shopping, unaware of the storm brewing in Lucas's mind. Lucas's paranoia only grew. He pictured Olivia slipping a tablet into her purse when no one was looking and walking out with stolen items. In his mind, he saw himself heroically tackling her as she tried to escape, saving the day and earning praise from his bosses. The reality was far different. Olivia was simply a considerate shopper trying to choose the best gift for her sister. But in Lucas's paranoid state, every action Olivia took seemed to confirm his worst fears. When Olivia approached the checkout counter, Lucas's suspicion reached its peak. His eyes were narrowed, his palms sweaty, and his heart pounding. He was certain she was about to do something illegal. Just as Olivia was about to reach the register, Lucas stepped forward, his face tight with suspicion, ready to confront her. To him, her simple shopping trip had become a high-stakes crime drama, driven by his own unfounded biases and paranoia. Lucas, a store employee, stopped Olivia right in the middle of the store. He stood directly in her way, causing her to stop suddenly. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said in a very rude way. "I noticed you have some very expensive things in your cart. Are you sure you can afford them?" Olivia's eyes went wide with surprise, and she tried to speak, but no words came out. It felt like the air around them was very heavy and uncomfortable. Nearby customers noticed what was happening and started whispering. Lucas didn't stop. He continued to be rude. "I've been watching you," Lucas said, sounding more and more aggressive. "You've been acting suspiciously. I think you might be trying to steal these items or maybe using a fake credit card." Olivia finally found her voice and said, "That's ridiculous. I haven't done anything wrong." But Lucas didn't back down. He pointed at Olivia's purse and said, "Open your bag. I want to see if you've taken anything else from the store." Olivia held her purse tighter and felt a mix of anger and hurt. "Absolutely not. You have no right to accuse me like this," she said firmly. The scene was attracting more attention. Other customers and store workers were gathering around, looking concerned and curious. The atmosphere in the store felt tense, like a rubber band stretched too tight. Lucas, feeling confident because of the crowd, raised his voice even more. "If you have nothing to hide, then you should have no problem opening your bag," he said. Olivia stood her ground, her voice trembling with emotion. I will not. This is harassment. Lucas's frustration grew and he turned to a nearby staff member. Call security, he shouted. We have a thief here. The accusation echoed through the store, making Olivia feel stunned and very embarrassed as people watched the scene unfold. Just as the situation was getting worse, a strong, commanding voice cut through the noise. What on earth is going on here? Mr. Harris, the store's owner, walked up and everyone moved aside to let him through. His presence made the tension in the air seem to vanish. Mr. Harris looked around, his eyes moving from Olivia to Lucas. Someone explain this to me right now, he said firmly. Lucas stepped forward, trying to look confident. Sir, I caught this woman acting suspiciously. I think she was planning to steal. Mr. Harris interrupted him, looking surprised. Olivia Brooks? He asked. Olivia nodded, trying to stay calm despite what had happened. Hello, Mr. Harris. I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding. Mr. Harris turned to Lucas with a serious look. Do you know who this woman is? He asked. Lucas hesitated, his confidence fading. I assumed, he started. Mr. Harris cut him off. You assumed wrong, he said sharply. Then he addressed the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to meet Olivia Brooks. She is not just any customer. She is a very important person for our store. She is our biggest investor and a very successful businesswoman. The people around gasped, shocked and surprised. Lucas looked pale and shocked. His face turned white, and he looked like he didn't know what to say. Mr. Harris gently placed his hand on Olivia's shoulder. Miss Lawson, I am so sorry for what happened. Let's go to my office and talk more about this. Olivia nodded, trying to stay composed even though she felt hurt. As Mr. Harris led Olivia away, the crowd started to leave, and Lucas was left alone, feeling the weight of his actions. Mr. Harris took Olivia to his office and closed the door behind them. Inside, it was quiet, a big change from the noise they had just left. Mr. Harris told Olivia to sit down in a comfortable chair and said, Miss Lawson, I am truly sorry for what just happened. This is not how we treat any of our customers, especially someone who has supported our store so much. Olivia sat straight, her hands in her lap. Even though she looked calm, she felt very upset inside. She said, Mr. Harris, I have always believed in this store. I invested my money and my trust in you and your team. To be treated like a criminal is more than disappointing. It is heartbreaking. Mr. Harris nodded, looking serious. I understand. Lucas will be dealt with, he promised. Olivia shook her head, her eyes full of sadness and determination. I appreciate that, Mr. Harris, but I'm more worried about the bigger issue. This isn't just about what one employee did. It's about a bigger problem that needs fixing. She leaned forward and said, What happened to me today happens to people like me all the time. People who don't have special protection, just trying to live their lives and shop without being judged or treated unfairly. We need better training for your staff. They need to learn about unconscious biases and how they affect how they treat customers. This incident shows that there's a problem with how your employees understand and handle diversity. She looked at Mr. Harris and said, I don't want anyone else to feel the way I felt today. Not in this store. Not anywhere. Mr. Harris listened carefully, feeling both ashamed and determined. He nodded, understanding how serious this was. You're right, Miss Lawson, he said with genuine regret. We need to do much better. What do you suggest we do next? Olivia took a deep breath and thought about what to do. Even though she was hurt, she saw a chance for real change. She leaned forward and said, I don't want to take my money out of the store because that won't help. Instead, I have an idea. Lucas made a big mistake today, but just firing him won't fix the problem. Let's give him a chance to learn and grow. She paused, thinking carefully. I think Lucas should keep his job, but he has to go through a lot of training on diversity and inclusion, not just a quick seminar. I mean, a full program that really teaches him about these issues. Mr. Harris nodded, impressed by Olivia's kind idea. Also, Olivia added, Lucas should volunteer at a local group called Unity Bridge that helps people facing racism. This could be very eye-opening for him. Just then, someone knocked on the door. Mr. Harris told them to come in, and Lucas walked in, looking scared and tired. Mr. Harris said, Miss Lawson has an idea for you. Olivia turned to Lucas and explained her plan. Lucas's face changed from scared to surprised, and then to a mix of relief and worry. It's up to you, Lucas, Olivia said. This is your chance to learn, grow, and make things right. Are you willing to try? Lucas swallowed hard, looking at Olivia and Mr. Harris. He knew this was his only chance to keep his job and become a better person. The next day, Lucas sat in the back of the training room with his arms crossed, looking unhappy. He couldn't believe he had to sit through this diversity and inclusion training. The trainer, a nice woman named Jenna, stood in front of the room and said, Today we're going to talk about our unconscious biases. Lucas rolled his eyes and thought it was silly. During the session, Jenna showed different scenarios and asked everyone to talk about their feelings. Lucas stayed quiet, but he started listening. One of his coworkers said, I didn't realize I made those assumptions. Lucas thought about how some examples were like things he had done. He remembered the day with Olivia and felt uncomfortable. During a break, Jenna came over to Lucas and asked, How are you finding the session? Lucas shrugged and avoided looking at her. It's interesting, I guess, he said. Jenna nodded and said, It can be hard to face these issues, but we're all here to learn and grow. As the training went on, Lucas started to change his mind. He noticed patterns in his own behavior that he had never seen before, like making quick judgments based on how someone looked. During a group exercise, Lucas shared a story from his past. I once didn't help a customer because I thought they couldn't buy anything. I was wrong and lost a big sale that day, he said quietly. The room was silent, and Lucas felt a little better. He was starting to understand how his actions affected others. He thought about Olivia and how she must have felt when she was wrongly accused and treated badly. At the end of the training, Lucas talked to Jenna and said, I think I need to learn more. Do you have any book or resources I can read? Jenna smiled and said, Yes, I can definitely share some with you. A few days later, Olivia got out of her car and looked at the community center. It was bright and welcoming with a colorful mural of different hands coming together. She took a deep breath and prepared for the meeting. As she walked in, she saw lots of people chatting and having fun. A friendly woman in her 50s came up to Olivia and said, I'm Linda Carter, the director of the foundation. It's great to meet you. Olivia smiled and shook Linda's hand. Thank you for having me, Miss Carter. This place is amazing, she said. Linda smiled back, proud. We try our best. Let's talk in my office. When they sat in Linda's cozy office, Olivia took a deep breath. I'm here about Lucas Bennett. He will be volunteering here to learn, Olivia said gently. Linda nodded. I got the email about him. It's a tricky situation. Olivia leaned closer. I believe people can change. What Lucas did was wrong, but I hope that by being here and seeing the great work you do, he might change. Linda listened carefully. We've had volunteers like Lucas before. It's not always easy, but sometimes people change in amazing ways. Olivia replied, That's what I hope for. I want him to see how his actions hurt people and also to see how different people can be wonderful. The next day, Lucas stood nervously at the entrance of the community center. He put his hands in his pockets and looked around. The bright colors and happy sounds felt strange to him. When he opened the door, he heard people talking and laughing. It made him feel even more nervous. Linda came up to him and said, You must be Lucas. Welcome to our foundation. We're happy to have you here. Lucas mumbled, Thanks, still feeling uneasy. Linda showed him around. People were doing different things, painting, working on computers, and talking in groups. Linda said, We have many programs here. Today, you will help with our after-school tutoring program. Lucas's eyes widened. I'm not sure I'm good enough for that, he said. Linda smiled and said, Don't worry, you'll help our regular tutors. It's about being there for the kids and showing them someone cares. As they walked to the tutoring area, Lucas felt people looking at him. The staff knew about his past, and though they were polite, they seemed wary. A young tutor named Mike greeted him and said, Hi, Lucas. I hear you'll be helping today. Lucas shook Mike's hand and said, Yeah, I guess so. Mike led him to a table and said, We have middle school kids coming in for math help. Lucas felt out of place. The colorful posters and lively kids made him feel uncomfortable. Over the next few weeks, Lucas came to the foundation more often. Each time, he felt a bit better. The bright colors and noise started to feel welcoming. One day, Linda approached him with a hopeful smile. Lucas, we're starting a new youth mentorship program. Would you like to help? Lucas hesitated. I'm not sure I'll be good at that, he said. Linda encouraged him. You might surprise yourself. Just try. Lucas agreed, and the next week, he met Jamal, a high school student with a funny and warm personality. Jamal talked about how people treated him unfairly because of how he looked. Lucas felt sad remembering his own past mistakes. As Lucas continued to meet more young people, like Maria and Alex, he began to understand their struggles. Maria's family was judged because of their accent, and Alex was followed around for wearing a hoodie. Each story made Lucas question his old beliefs and see things differently. One day, as Lucas was leaving, he looked at a mural on the wall. It showed different people holding hands and looking hopeful. For the first time, he saw people with dreams and fears, not just stereotypes. Lucas felt a new kind of heaviness in his heart, not from fear, but from understanding how his actions had hurt others. He knew he still had more to learn, but he felt he was on the right path. One sunny afternoon, Olivia walked into the lively community center. The room was full of happy sounds, people talking, laughing, and having a good time. It was very different from the last time she had been there when things had been tense and uncomfortable. Olivia had come to see if Lucas, the man who had been unkind to her before, was really changing. She wanted to find out if he could be nicer now. As Olivia looked around, she saw Lucas sitting at a table with a group of teenagers. She decided to watch him from a distance first. Lucas was very different from the mean store clerk she had met weeks ago. He was now leaning in and listening carefully to a young girl with braids who was talking excitedly. Lucas's face was not frowning or looking suspicious anymore. Instead, he looked interested and thoughtful. When the girl finished speaking, Lucas nodded and responded with a kind smile. The girl's face lit up with happiness. Lucas moved from group to group in the room. He helped a boy with his math homework, showing a lot of patience as he explained each step of the problem. Later, he joined a group where the teenagers were talking about their experiences with unfair treatment. Instead of getting upset or making excuses, Lucas listened with a serious expression. He asked questions that showed he was trying hard to understand their feelings. Olivia noticed that Lucas's body language had changed a lot. He was no longer tense or guarded. His shoulders were relaxed and his gestures were open and welcoming. He made eye contact with everyone he talked to, no matter how old they were or where they came from. At one point, a young man accidentally bumped into Lucas, almost spilling his drink. Olivia held her breath, thinking Lucas might get angry. But to her surprise, Lucas just gently steadied the boy and smiled kindly. As the event ended, Olivia watched Lucas say goodbye to the teens. There was a warm and friendly way about him that she never would have thought possible just a few weeks ago. Even though Lucas wasn't perfect and sometimes showed old habits, it was clear he was trying hard to be different. Before leaving the community center, Lucas noticed a small boy sitting alone in a corner. The boy looked sad and kept his head down. Lucas felt something inside him and decided to go talk to the boy. "Mind if I sit here?" Lucas asked softly. The boy shrugged and didn't look up. Lucas sat down next to him and said, I'm Lucas. What's your name? Ethan, the boy mumbled. Nice to meet you, Ethan. Are you okay? You seem a bit down, Lucas asked. Ethan hesitated and then said quickly, Some kids at school make fun of me. They say I look poor and that I don't belong there. Lucas felt a sharp pang in his heart. He remembered when he was a kid and was teased in a similar way. He felt a deep sadness for Ethan. I'm sorry, Ethan. That must be really tough, Lucas said, his voice trembling with emotion. Ethan looked up at Lucas. It's not fair. They don't even know me. They just look at my clothes and decide I'm not good enough. Lucas's heart ached for Ethan. He saw so much of his own younger self in the boy's eyes. You're right, Ethan. It's not fair at all, Lucas said softly. And you know what? Those kids are wrong. You are good enough, and you belong anywhere you want to be. Ethan's eyes widened with hope. Really? Really, Lucas confirmed with a warm smile. I know it's hard to believe sometimes, but trust me, I've been on both sides of this, and judging someone by how they look or what they wear is always wrong. As Lucas spoke, he felt a change inside him. He realized how much he had hurt Olivia and felt a wave of regret and shame. In the weeks that followed, Lucas's new way of thinking started to show in his daily life at the store. One busy afternoon, a customer came to ask Lucas about a product. Instead of brushing them off or being rude like he used to be, Lucas took a deep breath, listened carefully, and helped the customer find the right product with a kind and thoughtful attitude. The change in Lucas was becoming more noticeable, and Olivia felt hopeful about his transformation. The customer smiled and thanked Lucas for being so patient and helpful. As they left with their purchase, Lucas felt happy inside. It was a small moment, but it felt important. His coworkers noticed the change too. Jenna, a new worker, used to be scared of Lucas because he was gruff. But when Jenna made a mistake at the register, Lucas surprised her by saying, Don't worry about it, we all make mistakes. Let me show you how to fix it. Jenna felt relieved and thanked Lucas with a shy smile. More customers started to ask for Lucas's help. His new patience and listening made him popular, even with difficult customers. Lucas's manager, Mr. Ramirez, noticed the positive change and told Lucas, I'm impressed with your customer service. What's different? Lucas thought for a moment and said, I guess I've learned to see people differently. Everyone has a story. It's not our job to judge, just to help. Mr. Ramirez nodded and said, Keep it up. You're setting a great example. As Lucas walked back to his spot, he saw his reflection in a store mirror. He looked different, softer and more open. He realized that the change wasn't just outside. Something inside him had changed too. For the first time in a long time, he felt proud of who he was becoming. One crisp autumn morning, Olivia entered the store to find a birthday gift for her mom. She saw Lucas arranging tech gadgets. Olivia hesitated for a moment, remembering their last meeting. But Lucas looked different now, calm and kind. He saw Olivia and his face showed surprise, shame, and hope. He put down what he was holding and walked over to her, saying, Miss Lawson, I'm glad to see you. I wanted to thank you for giving me a chance to learn and grow. It's changed my life. I know I can't make up for how I treated you, but I'm really grateful. Olivia listened and saw the real change in Lucas. She replied, I'm glad to hear that. It takes courage to admit when we're wrong and to try to change. Keep working on it. It's a lifelong journey to unlearn prejudice and be inclusive. Mr. Harris came over, smiling with pride. He had seen their conversation and was impressed with Lucas's progress. I'm happy to see you both here, Mr. Harris said. Lucas, your effort in training and volunteer work has been noticed. Lucas felt both embarrassed and proud. Thank you, Mr. Harris. I've learned so much, and I'm grateful for the chance to improve. Mr. Harris continued, We've made some big changes in the store. We now have mandatory diversity and inclusion training for all staff, from new hires to senior employees. We've also revised our policies to be fair and set up a system for customer feedback. Olivia noticed the store felt different, more welcoming. She said softly, "I can feel the difference. It's friendlier now." Mr. Harris agreed. "That's exactly what we wanted. We want everyone to feel valued and respected." Just then, a customer approached them with a smile and said, "I've enjoyed shopping here lately. The atmosphere feels so positive. Everyone seems truly welcoming." Lucas's change continued, both at the store and at the foundation. Every day, he saw the world differently and noticed things he used to ignore. The change was not just in what he did, but in how he thought. At the store, Lucas became a strong supporter of inclusive practices and started sharing ideas with Mr. Harris to make the shopping experience better for everyone. One day, Lucas went to his boss, Mr. Harris, with a thoughtful look. "I have an idea," Lucas said excitedly. "What if we make our front windows show things from different cultures? It would make everyone feel welcome." Mr. Harris liked the idea and said, "Great, you take care of it." Lucas was thrilled and worked hard to pick items that showed many different cultures. When the new display was ready, he felt very proud seeing people of all backgrounds admire it. Lucas also started looking forward to his volunteer shifts. He enjoyed helping people and seeing a young boy who reminded him of himself grow more confident. One day at a community event, Lucas heard two elderly ladies talking. "I never thought I'd see that grumpy store clerk helping people like us," one lady said. Lucas felt a bit ashamed of his past behavior but decided to be kind. He smiled and said, "I know I wasn't always nice before, but I'm trying to be better. Can I help you with anything today?" The ladies were surprised but happy. They asked him to help set up tables for a bake sale. Lucas felt very satisfied helping them. He realized that this was more than just a job. It was something he really cared about and enjoyed. The store was full of people for a community event. Colorful banners said, "Celebrating unity and understanding." Chairs were set up like an auditorium in the store. Lucas greeted everyone with a smile, happy to see so many different people. Mr. Harris took the stage and thanked everyone for coming. He then introduced Olivia Brooks, the guest of honor. Olivia spoke about how she faced a difficult situation at the store but chose to hope for change. She talked about how people can grow and learn from their mistakes. Lucas felt emotional hearing her words and saw the changes in himself and the community. Olivia's speech made everyone feel united and hopeful. After Olivia spoke, Mr. Harris asked Lucas to come up and share his story. Lucas was nervous but went to the front. "I never thought I'd be here," he started, his voice shaky. "A few months ago, I was quick to judge and made a mistake. I accused Olivia of stealing just because of how she looked, and I was wrong." Lucas's eyes filled with tears. "Olivia gave me a chance to learn and grow. At first, I was unhappy about it, but then I changed. I learned a lot, and I'm grateful for the chance to make things right." Lucas stood in front of a big crowd at the store and talked about his time working at the foundation. He shared how he met lots of different people there. He heard their stories and saw the tough times they went through. For the first time, Lucas really listened and started to understand how his own mistakes hurt others and even himself. He realized that his wrong ideas had caused a lot of pain. Lucas looked at Olivia with grateful eyes. Olivia had been very kind and had forgiven him when he made mistakes. This kindness helped Lucas see things differently. He felt like a better person now and wanted to make changes, not just at the store, but also in the community. When Lucas finished speaking, everyone in the room clapped and cheered. Some people even had tears in their eyes because they were touched by his honest and open talk. Lucas felt overwhelmed by all the support. It was a big change from how lonely he felt before. After the event, the crowd had thinned out and Lucas and Olivia found a quiet corner of the store. Lucas was a bit nervous and looked around before speaking to Olivia. "Olivia," he started, "I don't know how to say it, but thank you. Just saying thank you doesn't seem enough. Olivia smiled gently and encouraged him to go on. Lucas took a deep breath and continued, "What you did for me, giving me another chance even when I didn't deserve it, changed my life. I was so wrong and blind before. Your forgiveness helped me see a world I didn't know existed." Tears started to fill Lucas's eyes. "I'm really sorry for how I treated you that day. I can't change the past, but I promise I'm working every day to be a better person." Olivia reached out and put a comforting hand on Lucas's arm. "Lucas, I see the hard work you've been doing. It hasn't gone unnoticed. Your speech today showed how much you've grown." Lucas nodded and wiped away a tear. "It's been tough facing my own mistakes, but every day at the foundation and with every training session, it's like I'm peeling off layers of ignorance I didn't even realize I had." Olivia's eyes sparkled with understanding. "That's the thing about this journey, Lucas. It's ongoing. We're all learning and growing every day. What matters is that you're committed to it now." "I am," Lucas said firmly. "I want to keep learning and growing. I want to help others see what I've seen." Olivia smiled warmly. "That's all anyone can ask for. We're all works in progress, Lucas. The important thing is to keep moving forward and trying to understand each other better." Lucas nodded with determination. "I'm hopeful about the future, Olivia. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm part of something bigger than myself." Olivia replied, "That's the beauty of empathy and understanding. It connects us all. We're in this together, and together we can make a real difference." In the weeks after the community event, the foundation where Lucas volunteered became very busy. Many people from the community wanted to help after hearing about Lucas's transformation. The small office of the foundation was full of new faces each day, bringing their own skills and experiences. Jenna, the foundation's director, was excited about all the new energy. One day, Jenna asked Lucas to help show some new volunteers around. They were interested in the youth mentorship program. Lucas felt proud as he talked about his experiences and explained how the program helped both the mentors and the kids they mentored. As the foundation grew, Lucas took on more responsibilities. His journey from being a store clerk with prejudices to a dedicated volunteer gave him a special perspective. Jenna noticed how much he had changed and started asking for his help more often. She even asked him to lead a new event to reach out to local businesses. Lucas was nervous, but excited about this new job. Jenna encouraged him, saying that his personal growth story would be very inspiring to others. Lucas worked hard to organize the event and shared his story with local business owners. Many were moved by his honesty and wanted to get involved. As time passed, Lucas's role at the foundation grew. He started mentoring new volunteers, sharing what he had learned on his journey. His patience and openness helped others face their own mistakes and learn to be better. His kindness and hard work changed how people saw him at the store, like Neve, and they started seeking him out for help. Lucas's transformation had a positive ripple effect on everyone around him. One busy Saturday afternoon, an older woman came up to Lucas looking puzzled. "Excuse me, young man," she said. "I need a gift for my grandson, but I don't know anything about these new gadgets." Lucas smiled and said, "No problem, ma'am. I'd be happy to help you find a great gift. Can you tell me a little about your grandson?" As the woman talked about her grandson, Lucas listened carefully. He showed her around the electronics section and explained everything in a simple way. By the end, the woman left with a tablet and a big smile. "Thank you so much, Lucas," she said, reading his name tag. "You've been very patient and kind. I'll tell all my friends about the great service here." Soon, more customers wanted Lucas's help by name, and even his coworkers started asking him for advice on handling tricky situations. Lily, a new worker, came to Lucas one day and said, "Lucas, I've seen how you talk to customers. You make everyone feel welcome. Do you have any tips?" Lucas's face lit up. "The most important thing is to listen," he said. "Everyone has a story, and if you listen, you can find a way to help." As Lucas shared his tips, other workers gathered around to learn from him. This impromptu training became a regular thing, and Lucas was happy to share what he knew. The store's atmosphere changed, and customers who used to feel uncomfortable now enjoyed shopping. Mr. Harris, the store owner, noticed the change. Sales were going up and customers were very happy. He called Lucas into his office one day and said, "Lucas, I'm very proud of how you've helped turn things around. Your efforts have made a big difference." Lucas felt warm inside from the praise. "Thank you, sir," he said. "I'm just grateful for the chance to make things better." Olivia, who was in charge of the store, noticed the positive changes too. The sales numbers were great, but what impressed her more were the happy reviews from customers. She smiled, thinking about how far the store had come. Olivia decided to call Mr. Harris and said, "Mr. Harris, I'm impressed with how the store is doing. I want to talk about investing more." Mr. Harris was excited and asked when they could meet to discuss it. They set up a meeting for the next week. Olivia also thought about the foundation where Lucas volunteered and realized more could be done. She contacted the foundation's director and offered to use her resources to help them reach more people. The director was thrilled, and they started working on new ideas. Olivia became a regular at the foundation, working with the staff, including Lucas, to set up computer classes and job training programs. Watching the positive impact of their work, Olivia felt very happy. The journey from a difficult store incident to helping others was fulfilling. She saw hope in the people they were helping and believed in the power of second chances and community support. Lucas stood at the store entrance, looking at the busy aisles, when a nervous young man named Alex came up to him. "You must be Alex," Lucas said with a warm smile, shaking his hand. "Welcome to the team." Alex, looking anxious, said, "Thanks, Mr. Thompson. I'm excited but nervous." Lucas understood and said, "Just call me Lucas. Don't worry, everyone starts somewhere. Let me show you around." As they walked, Lucas pointed out different sections and explained the store layout. When they reached the electronics department, Lucas had a thoughtful look on his face. "Alex, this job is not just about selling products. It's about people." Alex looked curious and asked, "What do you mean?" Lucas took a deep breath and shared his story, how he had to learn and change. Alex listened carefully and said, "That's quite a story. I'm glad you told me." Lucas nodded and said, "I'm sharing this because it's important to understand." At the annual gala, the community center was beautifully decorated, looking like a sparkling wonderland. Twinkling lights hung from the ceiling, creating a warm and magical glow over the crowd of people. The air was filled with excitement and laughter as people from different backgrounds mingled together. They were all there because they wanted to make the world a better place, showing their commitment to helping others and supporting the community. At the center of the celebration stood Olivia, looking radiant in a flowing emerald gown. She moved gracefully through the crowd, stopping to chat with volunteers and donors. Her eyes sparkled with joy as she listened to the stories of how lives had been changed and new connections had been made. Lucas, dressed in a crisp suit, was near the refreshment table. He felt a bit out of place at these fancy events, but the warmth and friendliness of the people around him were starting to make him feel more comfortable. He watched Olivia as she worked the room, amazed at how far they had come since their first meeting at the store. Lucas's thoughts were interrupted as the foundation's director, Lisa Reynolds, stepped up to the podium. The room grew silent, and everyone focused on her as she tapped the microphone. "Good evening, everyone," Lisa Reynolds began, her voice filled with emotion. "Tonight, we're here to celebrate two very special individuals who have made an incredible impact on our community." She first praised Olivia for her unwavering support and vision, highlighting how much she had done to help others. Then, Lisa Reynolds turned her attention to Lucas. And now, I'd like to present a special award to someone who has shown us the true meaning of growth and redemption. Lucas's heart started to race as he realized what was happening. He felt a gentle push from behind and turned to see Olivia smiling at him encouragingly. With shaky legs, he made his way to the stage. Lisa Reynolds held up a beautiful crystal plaque and said, "Lucas Bennett, for your dedication to promoting equality and your tireless efforts in our community, we present you with the Foundation's Beacon of Change Award." As Lucas accepted the award, he felt tears welling up in his eyes. He looked out at the crowd of faces he once might have judged, but now saw as friends and allies. His gaze met Olivia's, and he saw her eyes glistening with pride. Lucas and Olivia then found a quiet corner of the bustling gala, each holding a glass of sparkling cider. They settled into plush chairs, feeling the weight of the evening's emotions. "I never thought we'd end up here," Lucas said, shaking his head in disbelief. He turned the crystal award over in his hands, still marveling at its significance. Olivia smiled warmly and said, "Life has a funny way of surprising us, doesn't it?" She reached out and gave his arm a gentle squeeze. "You've come so far, Lucas. I'm really proud of you." Lucas's eyes misted over. "I couldn't have done it without you, Olivia. Your forgiveness changed everything." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the joyful crowd around them. Then Olivia leaned forward, looking thoughtful. "You know," she began, "I've been thinking about the store. What if we expanded our diversity training program? We could make it a regular thing, not just for new hires. Maybe we could bring in speakers from the foundation and set up mentorship opportunities." Lucas listened carefully, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. They both knew that this was just the beginning of their journey to make a positive impact on their community. Lucas smiled really big and said, "That's a great idea. What if we also started a scholarship program to help kids from families that don't have much money get into tech or business schools?" Olivia's eyes lit up and she said, "I love it. We could add it to the Foundation's youth programs." As they shared more ideas, they got even more excited. They talked about community events, working with local schools, and making the store a place where everyone feels welcome. Lucas said softly, "A year ago, I never thought I'd be having this conversation with you." Olivia smiled and said, "Life brings the right people together, even in surprising ways." They clinked their glasses together, toasting their unexpected friendship and the bright future they were creating. As they talked, their bond grew stronger because they both wanted a more understanding and inclusive world. The sun shone through the store's big windows. Lucas was behind the counter, smiling warmly. A young woman came in, looking a bit lost among the electronics. Lucas asked kindly, "Good morning. Can I help you find something?" The woman looked relieved and said, "Yes, I'm looking for a tablet for my grandmother. She wants to video chat with us, but she isn't very good with tech." Lucas nodded and said, "No problem. We have some great options for beginners. Let me show you." He guided her through the store, explaining things in simple terms and showing her how to use the tablet. Olivia watched from near the entrance, smiling as she thought about how much Lucas had changed. The store felt full of positive energy, with employees chatting happily with customers of all kinds, and colorful posters about community events and educational programs on the walls. Lucas helped the woman choose a tablet and even offered to set up a free training session for her grandmother. The woman left with a big smile, thanking Lucas for his kindness and patience. When Lucas went back to the counter, he saw Olivia and waved her over. Olivia came over, proud, and said, "I wanted to see how things were going, and I'm very impressed." Lucas smiled happily and said, "It's all thanks to you. You gave me a chance when I didn't deserve one." Olivia shook her head and said, "You did the hard work, Lucas. You wanted to learn and change, and that's what matters." They looked around the busy store, seeing customers and staff of all kinds interacting with kindness and respect. Lucas said softly, "We really did it, didn't we? We made a difference." Olivia nodded, her eyes shining, and said, "We did, and we will keep making a difference, one person at a time." As they watched the happy scene, it was clear that the changes they made would have a lasting impact. Their stories showed that with kindness, learning, and a willingness to change, even the hardest hearts could be softened.